Hey everyone, Rowan here for Common Fate, and today I'm going to show you why granted.dev is the best and easiest way to use AWS securely. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up granted and then use the assume command to get short-term credentials to your AWS environments. So, what is granted.dev? Well, it's a free and open source project supported by Common Fate that lets you configure your environment but also request short-term credentials so that you can access your AWS resources securely. This is important because most incidents on AWS happen because long-term credentials like access keys and passwords are compromised. If you use short-term credentials, then you don't have those problems. Now, it's important to note that the granted.dev project is actually two command line interfaces. You have the granted command for setting things up, which you have to do once, and you have the assume command, which is what you use on a day-to-day basis to actually start your short-term credential session. So to get started, head on over to granted.dev and follow the instructions for your operating system. Once you've installed the command, you then need to configure your environment so that you can assume roles. Now, this is probably the most challenging part, but don't worry, it's not hard. If you've already used the AWS command line tool with the SSO service, Identity Center, then you're already done. If you haven't, find your AWS configuration file based on where it is for your operating system and ensure that you've got your Identity Center instance configured properly. Here you can see a sample configuration file. Now it's just using the AWS configuration file, and in there I've configured my Identity Center instance. I've put in that start URL that will get me started. In this case it's called granted demo. And then I have three different profiles that I'm wanting to assume on a day-to-day basis. You can see for each of these profiles I've specified the account ID and the role name that I want to assume, and then linked that back to my Identity Center instance. It's important to note that these need to be configured in your Identity Center already. Here we're just telling granted how to access what I've already got set up. Now that you're configured, you can use the assume command to get the short-term credentials I was talking about earlier. In the background, this sets up the appropriate environment variables for your session. And if you know the name, you can specify that, or you can leave it blank and just get prompted to autocomplete based on the profiles that you've got configured. Now, Granted has a lot of features, and you can check those out in the official documentation to find out all the things it can do, like exporting credentials and things like that. The -C flag stands for console, and this opens up a web console session in your browser based on the role that you've just assumed. And the nice thing about this is that it takes advantage of browser features like containers for Firefox or profiles in Chrome and Safari to ensure that different sessions don't override each other. This means you can have multiple browser sessions for different roles and accounts easily within your browser. This is something that's really hard to do on its own, and Granted just makes it really easy. And that's it. You're up and running with granted.dev. And what you'll find is that even when your short-term credentials expire, like they should, you'll be able to quickly assume the roles you need to do your job without going through repeated login flows. So check out the repo, feel free to contribute, and thanks for watching.